We're starting to see a bit of a storm brewing between Atletico and FC Barcelona once again, and yes, the eye of the storm is the transfer of Atleti's prized attacker. Where the Griezmann transfer caused plenty of drama in the past, the chess pieces are being put on the board for what looks like another transfer fight. This time for Julián Álvarez. Now, there are many layers to this, as well as a huge elephant in the room of whether Barcelona could even pull off a transfer of this magnitude, at this time at least, a transfer of this size, given Atletico will not let him go for cheap, especially with the contract he's on. Unless the new guy in Atleti's sporting department is a double agent. We'll get to him later. But Julián Álvarez, he just arrived at Atlético Madrid in the summer of 2024. He is absolutely central to their plans and their success, as Simeone himself has said. So what is behind all of these murmurs of him wanting out of Atletico and Barcelona looking to be the ones to welcome him in? Let's get into all of that. Do me a favor and check if you're subscribed, and if not, consider doing so. You don't have to, but consider it.
It brings to an end actually what has been a really successful 2 years for Julián Álvarez at Manchester City, for both City and Argentina.
Yeah, Álvarez almost completed football as far as club and country achievements while at City, but he failed to win the coveted Carabao Cup. Time to go back to England, Julián. But being serious here, it's understandable why he ended up leaving Manchester City, right? Totally understandable. A player of his ability deserves to be the number one guy somewhere. And while some people will fault City for letting him go, for choosing Haaland over him, they didn't really have a choice. Álvarez wouldn't have stayed to play second fiddle anymore. He wanted to be the main guy at a club, and it's not like you can fault City for betting on Haaland, right? He had already shown he can deliver, and he continues to deliver to this day. So, 95 million euros as a transfer fee, and he was on his way to Atleti, which was a record fee for Man City, by the way, which helped, ease the pain of losing a top talent like that. And while he wasn't immediately hot for Atletico Madrid, he started scoring at a relatively frequent rate about 5 matches into the LaLiga season. In the latter half of the year, he really began picking it up, going on a run of scoring 9 goals in 11 LaLiga matches at one point, closing out the season with 29 goals and 8 assists across all competitions, including the Club World Cup. He started this season pretty well, with Diego Simeone highlighting his importance to the club just a month ago, saying after their defeat of Rayo Vallecano, quote, "Julián is the best player we have. We need to take care of him, to keep him here at Atleti for many years. He has to help us, and we have to help him so he can become even better than he already is. Every time he makes a difference, he helps us a lot." Álvarez had a hat-trick in that match, and clearly all the rumors about Álvarez being unhappy and linked away from Atletico were top of mind for Diego Simeone. Now, Atletico Madrid have Alexander Sorloth, who has performed very well for them, constantly coming off the bench to score goals since arriving at the club, but Álvarez is different. As we spoke of, he's someone you build your attack around. You'll remember how he forced his way into the starting lineup for Argentina in Qatar, and how crucial he was to them winning the World Cup. 4 goals, won a penalty against Croatia as well. Now he's just as crucial at Atletico. Like we said, Sorloth has been good, but he isn't an all-encompassing talent who can beat players on the dribble and create chances for his teammates as well as for himself out of thin air. Simeone's hopes would be that Álvarez would be the one to carry on Griezmann's legacy, right? To be a forward who can continue to grow, to be able to do it all the while scoring tons of goals. Griezmann is still effective, but he's aging, and his contract runs out in 2027. Losing Álvarez would be losing a lot of goals in Atleti's attack, and with the investment they put into the club to build around him this past summer, they would be at square one again as far as trying to find a player of his talent as the emblem, the centerpiece of Simeone's team. And of course, Barca are interested in having him as a centerpiece.
Even that so many people talk about my age, that I'm getting older, I don't have any problem with this.
Lewandowski has done unbelievable things, and with how fit he is, in general, he'll probably continue to do unbelievable things in the coming years when he's not injured. But his contract is coming to an end at the end of this season, and the only way that he sticks around at the club is if he has a massive downgrade in wages, as Lewandowski is one of the highest earners at Barcelona. I believe, in fact, he is the highest earner, as far as I can find. But there's a lot of changes that go on, so who knows. With this in mind, Barcelona have been looking for a successor for some time now, and how Deco's priority for the summer of 2026 will be to bring in a striker. Hey man, what about a center back? I'm sure he'll want to bring one of those in as well. But you've seen every name associated with them. This is Barca, after all, a massive club. Even if you need to be an expert in amortization, economics, tax law, etc., to understand the transfer dealings and registration of their players are always going to be interested in playing for Barcelona. Álvarez, of course, is one of those players, apparently. You've started to see more and more news stories coming out about how Álvarez wants out of Atletico Madrid now, as he is unhappy with the progress they have made there, where he's been played, etc. This man is a winner, as we went over, and he won't be happy to go multiple seasons without trophies should that end up happening this season, right? You're seeing stories about how Laporta sees Álvarez as a dream signing for the club. You're seeing Marc Bernal answer rapid-fire questions with the publication Diari Ara, saying that Julián Álvarez is the player he'd sign for FC Barcelona. You also have one of Julián Álvarez's first coaches from when he was a kid, named Hugo Rafael Várez, saying stuff like this, quote, "He doesn't look comfortable with Simeone. He's played a lot of games. He's not the striker he always was, because he's never played in the position he should be playing. I don't see him comfortable at Atletico." I think there will be a change at some point, either of the coach or Álvarez himself. Someone recently told me he's going to Barcelona, and the truth is, he's not at Barcelona because they didn't pay the money they should have. He would go because he's always been a Barcelona fan. I'd like to see him play for Real Madrid. Hugo just throwing in his own wish in there at the end. I guess he was sad that he didn't sign with them when he was on trial with Real Madrid as an 11-year-old. Also, this past summer, man, it was a tough one for Atletico supporters when it comes to Álvarez being linked away news, right? But this past summer, Álvarez's agent, Fernando Hidalgo, went on the Only for Culés podcast and said, quote, "The day-to-day is Atletico. We'll see how the negotiations go. Football is ever-changing. They'll have to communicate with the club, which will assess the situation, and then it will be a negotiation between the three parties." He received many calls, but Atletico's position is that Julián will stay next season. He admires Spanish clubs, and having followed Leo's career since he was a kid, I don't think there are many Argentinians who don't have a fondness for Barca, especially given the team's performance this season. Damn, man. Tough to hear that from the agent, but all of these things combined show you where all of this is coming from. Is it a case of a rogue agent just opening his mouth too much, as we see all the time, with Álvarez getting angry at him in private? I mean, it could be, but where there's smoke... Now, Atletico's president Enrique Cerezo responded to some rumors linking Álvarez to Barca from El Chiringuito, saying the following, quote, "Well, I really like Lamine Yamal. It seems we have the same tastes. Julián Álvarez is an Atletico player. He's ours and will remain ours. Julián will thrive at Atletico and die at Atletico in a sporting sense, because he's a player made for us." Now, Barca wasn't the only team that was linked with Álvarez, but given what his agent said about him admiring the club, that's the reason why these links to Barca aren't going away. But of course, the massive Rojiblanco elephant in the room is that €500 million release clause on Álvarez's contract. So if Barcelona want to go forward with this, they're going to have to get creative. Now, Atletico may not be receptive to them because remember the whole fiasco surrounding Griezmann and Barcelona's quasi-pre-agreement and seemingly incorrect amount for the release clause?
At that time, the release clause was €200 million, and that release clause decreased to €120 million.
Yeah, so while the clubs have had some transfer dealings since then, and since Barcelona have been under new administration since then, Atleti have had some changes as well. Maybe it wouldn't be an issue. Hey! Is that Mateo Alemany, formerly of Barcelona, now part of the sporting department at Atletico Madrid? Yes, it is. And it's going to be very, very difficult for Barcelona to prize Julián Álvarez away from Atletico Madrid, as they will do the utmost to keep him, as long as Álvarez and his agent don't start making more noise around the transfer window once again. You gotta remember, his initial 6-year contract still runs all the way to 2030. That's a ton of time. And yes, Barcelona have done really well in lowering their salary mass. Lewandowski's potentially leaving lowers that even further. But the only clear thing about Barcelona when it comes to transfers and their last-minute registrations is that it's often unclear. So this, for me, is a story that we need to keep watching. It could be a transfer saga, as we'll see what other youth coaches come out of the woodwork to point to Alvarez being a huge Barca fan, what other Barcelona players will make reference to him, what else his agent will say in the future. It all seems to be heading in one direction, but Atleti still hold all the cards. I want to thank you guys for joining me for this video. It's always greatly appreciated, and I'll see you in a few days for another one. Take care.